Hi everybody and welcome to another video based on world religions. This time we're going to be exploring Hinduism. So what is Hinduism? It's actually the third largest religion in the world behind Christianity and Islam. It has about 900 million people. And what makes this one different from the other ones that we've explored is this one is a polytheistic religion, meaning it believes in more than one God, unlike Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. It began in India before 1500 BC. Now, the reason I say that is because historians don't really know exactly when it was founded. So we say about 1500 BC because that's as close to accurate history as they can get. And here are some different symbols that you can see here that are representative of Hinduism. So what does that word Hinduism mean? Well, India, the country, and Hindu actually come from the same word, which is Indus, which is the name of a big river that flows between India and Pakistan. So if we check out our map right here, here is the Indus River, and it flows this way, and you can see it splits Pakistan and India. Now, some people say that the word Indus really means eternal religion, and so this idea of Hinduism is the eternal religion of those who follow it. Not all believe that, but a lot of people do find that to be the case. But at the very least, India and Hindu come from this word Indus, which is the name of the river here that flows and then drops into the Arabian Sea. So Hindus have a very large unifying principle, and if I gave you three guesses, I'm sure you can figure it out, that it's based on God, or what's known as Brahman, all right, the creator. And so here are some different representations of Brahman here. Note the differences and note the similarities. And that's done on purpose. And so Brahman is the creator in their eyes of Hinduism. He is the main god, or he or she is the main god, and it's the idea that there is a supreme reality behind all that is, meaning there is some big understanding behind everything that is done in this world. So outside of Brahman, there are three other smaller gods, and they are all depicted here. As I go down the list here, their images are depicted going from left to right. So Ganesha is here, Vishnu is here, and Shiva is here. So Ganesha, depicted here, is the god of that is the remover of obstacles in life. So if you're a Hindu and you're facing some sort of obstacle or big challenge in your life, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, figuratively, whatever, you are going to pray to Ganesha to remove those from you. Vishnu, here in the middle, is the preserver and the protector. And most Hindus believe that that the Vishnu's job primarily is to protect of the family, the god who protects the family, and in that light, also then being the preserver, the idea of being fertile, of women getting pregnant, because their job is to continue the legacy of the family, continue the lineage, is the word I'm looking for, of the family. So Vishnu is the preserver and the protector. The last, but certainly not least, god is Shiva. Shiva is the destroyer, so in times of war, in conflict, Shiva would be the god that most Hindus would be praying to. So Brahman is the main god, and there's three smaller gods beneath Brahman. There are two main branches of Hinduism. One is Vaishnavism, which is Vishnu is the ultimate deity. So those who believe in Vaishnavism are those who believe that of those three, Vishnu is the ultimate deity, meaning is the ultimate, the holiest, the most powerful of those. Not above Brahman, but above the other two. And then, of course, there's Shivaism, which is that Shiva is the ultimate deity. Now, I'm not sure why there isn't one for Ganesha, but perhaps one of you could explore that and inform us when we talk about Hinduism. There is a sacred text in Hinduism, and here it is represented here in this image. It's called the Vedas, and it consists of hymns of praise, sacrificial rituals, and sacred teachings. So if you could think back to the other videos that you have watched to this point, hopefully you've watched some, the idea is you see a very similar theme between all the other religions, that they have some sort of text that's going to embody the teachings and the laws and the things that you should be paying attention to and all of that. And so this is their version called the Vedas. They have several main purposes of life. Hindus really look at life and look at the meaning behind it, and so there's four major purposes. The first one's called dharma, and these are the laws that you're supposed to follow. And this idea is that you're supposed to be getting over your earthly concerns, things that are mortal, things that human beings focus on that are concerned with. So some examples can be proper conduct, daily rituals, dietary restrictions, etc. So dharma is are the laws that you as a human being are supposed to follow and to help you get over these concerns about the earthly concerns that you have. Artha is this next one here. And artha is the pursuit of wealth and prosperity. Now you could do this. You can, if you want to think of it and compare it to capitalism, as we talked about, and this idea that you pursue wealth and prosperity. That's fine, but you must do it within those guidelines of dharma. So you cannot go beyond what dharma tells you. Otherwise, you're going to not be fulfilling the proper rules within Hinduism. Kama is next. And this is the idea that many of you may already follow, which is to live life to the fullest. And yes, that includes sensual and sexual love within that. So to live life to the fullest, one must complete all of those to their fullest things. But again, following the guidelines of Dharma as it will lay out for both Artha and Kama for you. Now, moksha is the release of your Atman. And we're going to talk about in a minute what Atman is. But these are the four major purposes of life of what you are supposed to do, and you're supposed to have all four of these. So let's go back to that Atman idea from moksha. So there's one major goal of Hinduism. It's for your Atman, or your soul, to be released. And in this process of your soul being released is known as that moksha that we talked about before. And the idea is that you want your soul to be released from a cycle of rebirth, known as the samsara cycle. So what happens is that as your soul is then finally released from this cycle of rebirth, or what's known as reincarnation, which we'll talk about in a minute, you are going to then become one with Brahman, or again, that main god. So how do you achieve this? If the goal of a Hindu is to continue this reincarnation process until your soul is released to Brahman, to be one with Brahman, how does that work? Well, as we mentioned before, it's through this reincarnation. So the samsara cycle is going to continue until your soul is eventually joined with Brahman, at which point you are no longer going to reincarnate. How many times will this occur? Well, it's going to depend on each person. Why? Because it's all about your good karma and your bad karma. If you do good deeds in life, you will be able to move up the quote-unquote the living species hierarchy, which means things like human beings, demigods, things like that you're going to see that are more sort of quote-unquote higher up again on that living species hierarchy. If you don't do good deeds and you're a bad person, you're going to move down to things more like a fly, a rat, different animals, and things that are not as highly wanted or desired. And so you go through this process of reincarnation, and the more good deeds you do in these different lives that you take on, the closer and closer your Atman, or again your soul, gets to moksha, which is that release. And you can break free from samsara, and you become one with Brahman. Now, a lot of this has to do, again, with karma. You may be familiar with this idea in your own lives. It's an energy that you release into the world. So it's your thoughts, your feelings, the things you say, the things you do, all of that comes together in your energy. And so your good and your bad deeds in life are going to determine, as I mentioned before, what life form that you reincarnate into. And so you bring your deeds with you from life to life. They don't just start over. So you can't just be a bad person and turn into a rat and then all of a sudden be really good and turn into a human. It doesn't work that way. Reincarnation takes both the good and the bad of all those things that you do together, and it's going to average it out in some way and determine what life form that you take on. And so again, this idea is that you continue through the samsara cycle and reincarnate based on your karma, so these good and bad deeds that you do, and this energy, until your soul is one with Brahman, or as Hindus like to say, like a raindrop with the sea. So this is the end of our video on Hinduism. So be ready to discuss this in class, and I hope you enjoyed.